but doping off again. Anyway, during the second phase of the Between Lives area, when you recreate all of these moments of past track, they're not really right either, because interspersed with the creation of the past track are also other implants and suggestions which make the data false. Okay? Then the third phase of the Between Lives area is something called This Is Your Life.
Oh, with Ralph Edwards?
Wait. It's a story that they give you again of your next life on Earth. Except it's also a false story. And it's also with wrong pictures and wrong dates and wrong Visios. And it's taken from the random aggregate of the total amount of time track available as mental image picture storage in the entire universe. And you're getting all kinds of random sequences of your next life, which have nothing whatsoever to do with your next life, because your next life is dependent upon your entry point or your anchor point into the physical universe by virtue of this very suppressive sequence, which is the fourth cycle, which is called the human race. And the human race is you as a Thetan vigorously pushing and shoving and fighting and clawing a bunch of other Thetans to pick up a zygote, which is a fertilized egg and a sperm at the moment of conception. Now, when you do this, you have already done a time shift and a space shift. So you're not necessarily back in 1989 or 88. You could be in the year 1200 or the year 3000. That's how I got into the year 22 BC in my last lifetime, when I was Jesus' father. Because when I came back after the lifetime, after the previous lifetime, I came back not sequentially in time or chronologically in time, but I came back at the year 22 BC, and I was the son of Amiohai the cantor in Nazareth, you know, and there I was. But this getting back to the Between Lives area again, here you are totally wiped out with your memory from the 3 sessions that you've had in the Between Lives area on Mars, and you come back and you have to fight all these people. You get this beautiful sound of a baby crying. You get all of these suggestions. You also get a false dear souls picture of Jesus, which most people get. They see this picture of Jesus, and when they come back to life, they think he's a nice guy. He was really the biggest suppressive that ever lived. And the fact is that when you're fighting all these other Thetans to pick up the zygote, you have to be a real bastard, a real son of a bitch, because you have to literally knock them out of the way dead to get to that fertilized egg. And what could happen? You could go through 11 attempted abortions by the time you get reborn, and go through the Between Lives area after each one. Let's say you pick up a zygote and the mother aborts the fetus. That means you got to go square one back to the gates of Mars on the bridge and go through another 69 days of bullshit. And then pick up another. You have to keep fighting until you get to that baby, and that baby actually survives to birth.
See, when you said a minute ago that Jesus was the biggest suppressive who ever lived, but doesn't suppressive actually mean someone who's doing something that's contrary to the organization called Scientology?
That's one definition. The other definition is a suppressive is anyone who suppresses you as a Thetan.
Ah.
Okay? There's a multiple definition of that. I don't even have to look it up. I can tell you right away. It suppresses you as a Thetan. How did Jesus Christ suppress us as Thetans? He created the Between Lives area.
Didn't you once say to me something about psychologists having something to do with Between Lives area?
No.
Maybe I misunderstood.
Not
Well,
me.
what's the Scientology attitude towards psychologists?
Well, obviously, I'll tell you right away. Let's supposing a person has a problem with their wearing a necktie, or a problem with drinking milk. What the hell can psychiatry or psychology ever find out about my past lives to correct this problem? They'll look at environment, they'll look at genetic blueprint, they'll look at all kinds of unimportant present lifetime garbage factors, but they're not going to find out that I was hung in the square of Malaga, and they're not going to find out that my ex-wife 8 lifetimes ago in Tahiti poisoned me with milk. And therefore psychiatry and psychology is a false science that does not work, that actually traps the Thetan into thinking also falsely that things that they can actually heal or cure or proof up a body, and they can't. In fact, they actually cave people in. Seriously.
Have you ever taken any formal position against psychologists? Did you ever participate in any?
Oh yes.
Anything?
I was one of the delegates to the Psych Bust.
What was that?
To the at Flag, we had a major rally in April of '87, and there were delegates from every org on the planet at this place, and I was one of the delegates from the Fort Lauderdale mission at the time. They had some. I was at that time still connected with Fred Hare at the mission before I was routed to the org when Fred Hare's work was done. Actually, Hare's work shouldn't have been done, because if he had stayed on, nothing like this would have happened. I personally think that it was the org that screwed things up and made some mistakes. There's a lot of people there that are, well, like Umberto, the one who cut my arm with a scissor and chopped off a half an inch out of my flesh. Those kind of people are really pretty theta people, but the mission people were nice.
But anyway, back to the Psych Bust.
Okay, the Psych Bust took place in April, I think it was April 9th of '87. We went to Flag, and we were given a big briefing on
where?
the Flag land base in Clearwater, Florida, 210 South Harrison Avenue at the Fort Harrison Hotel. And in the ballroom of on the 10th floor of Flag, we were given a private briefing by some of the execs of CCHR. Dennis Clark is the head of CCHR. You may know of him. He was the one who found that Jolly Llewellyn West gave an elephant LSD, you know. Another one that was there was Fred Freddie Ulan, U-L-A-N. And the two of them gave a great briefing on how we were going to eliminate psychiatry in the world, and what we had to do as individual thetans in order to do that. One of the plans to eliminate psychiatry initially in this country is to see to it that psychology and psychiatry can no longer bill insurance companies for their therapy. That'll cut their financial lines right away, you know. And there's a big push going on now with CCHR to introduce certain legislative measures in Washington to eliminate psychology and psychiatry procedure codes.